for me, it's out of fight or flight. You know, it's like I have to because I'm the guy. I have to like make sure it's good. It's because no one else will do it. There's no white knight coming from me. So hopefully I have you guys help me out.
Let's get fiscal. Let's get fiscal. Make it make sense. Money moves smarter when the numbers click.
Hey guys, welcome back. Today we have something fun going on. Majority of our clients are referrals from other clients, and today we are met with Elliott here, and we're basically going to do what me and him have planned to do on a Zoom call later, right now for you guys to watch. So hi, welcome.
We're going to do it online, but now we're going to do it live.
Do it live. For the world to see your therapy session with me today.
Okay.
Hi. So a lot of like what we do in these calls and whatnot is really try to just get to know you like as a person. It's, you know, one call, but, you know, get to know you, what it is that you're doing, where you're at in the process, and then kind of where you're wanting to be to then see, is there like, are we a right fit for you, or like where you where you are and what stage you are in and all that fun stuff. So you want to talk about yourself?
Yeah.
Who are you? What do you do?
Well, my name is Elliott. I play in a touring band called Bless the Fall. I am been an independent contractor. It's kind of what I used to put on my Hinge thing back in the day because you don't want to be the band guy. For since I was 19, I'm now 36. I've been doing it quite a while. And yeah, so, you know, switching from a W-2 to like 1099 to eventually K-1 to then understanding like starting my own LLC and how do I like, you know, keep everything clean for the end of the year has just been an absolute monster. Final boss, really.
Yeah.
The IRS for me is kind of like the final boss I have to face every year. But it's you know, it's definitely had there's been trial and error. There's been years where I'm like, man, you know, I've talked to someone that perhaps doesn't understand our industry and like what we can do to work around it, and like I don't know, I treat it kind of like a game where I'm like, how do we do it right? Where it like everybody wins kind of thing. I'm all for paying, but it's also like, you know,
just make it work for you.
So then you know, probably about 5 years ago, I decided why not do something even more crazy and start doing like video as well. So another great freelancing hobby. So that took my taxes from what was already kind of complex with royalty statements and things to being like, oh, let's make it really crazy. So I've done that, and it's been fun actually. You know, I really like I love financial education. It's forced me to have to learn a lot, and just like how you said, like you want to have that good fit with someone. I feel like I want to have a relationship with someone that gets the industry, is going to keep it really real with me, but also like sees what we're trying to do, sees what the goal is, and it's someone you can kind of grow with. So it is kind of like a place where you have to show a lot of vulnerability. So.
I always like to preface it because I've had client calls like where I'm just like, okay, so what is your current relationship status, and like having to know those things, and it gets personal. So knowing all of that. So you're part of a band, and then it sounded like you have 2 LLCs?
I have one LLC right now.
Okay.
I kind of formed it as like more of like a content thing. I usually make it like more. It stems from essentially since I'm a member of a K-1 in my big band, I then funnel all of that over to my LLC. So before I start paying myself out from everything, I make sure everything kind of lines up. Because in a lot of instances, like where with the band, over the years, I've undertook like all of our social media, running ads, like things like that. I kind of have to like make sure all of my ducks are in a row. And then do my payouts, make sure all my quarterlies are going out. And just like trying to keep it as like clean as possible. So like it's just I don't know.
You're sounding great.
I feel like you know, like in a video game when you got to build your resources and build your stats. That's kind of where I'm at right now. I'm like, how do I upscale? So no, I'm excied to do this. So hopefully you can help me learn some things and we can see how it vibes.
So for your LLC, what is it? A single member, or are you S-Corp? A single member?
Yeah.
Okay.
But this last year was like the first time where I was like, oh, maybe the S-Corp would be smarter.
Okay.
You know, I know there's like an income threshold where they're like, you need to maybe consider it here. So last year, which is a blessing, I finally felt like I was like, okay, maybe this is like the consideration. Because before, when I was making all of my write-offs and things, is kind of on the cusp where I was like, it's kind of probably not worth it. So yeah, single member LLC.
Okay.
I'd like to start. I am going to start another. Let's put it in the. Let's manifest. I am going to start another one for a different, just to kind of make it so it's a little cleaner for the book, so it's not all falling under one umbrella. And I would love for your guys' insight on that, because that's like one of those moments where, you know, obviously, what I think is right is not always what the IRS thinks is right. So I have to trial by fire.
Yep. Well, I mean, one of the things that we have to keep in mind is that, like an S corporation, normally I organize it in a way so that that's you, and that's always you. And then from there, we can have kind of all of these offshoots of different projects that you're doing. And, you know, maybe you decide to explore a different avenue. And then that's where you can also do some of the different partnerships with other people as well. So I think maybe the core LLC that you have right now is really the one that gets converted to the S corporation. And that's going to be kind of like your baby that you're always protecting. And then we can do an LLC, but the S corporation is going to own that LLC. And then also maybe speaking with the other members with this K1 that's coming through, you know, it should be the S corporation that's the partner over there instead of you individually. So kind of flipping things around. So it's not really you as an individual. It's this S corporation that's acting as you, and all of the things funnel into that one entity and then kind of funnel down to you. Because otherwise, you know, once we create like an S corporation over here and an S corporation over here, now you're like duplicating a lot of your responsibilities. So I think doing something like that, we have to be a little bit careful just thinking about, you know, creating the extra LLC. How often is it going to be used and things like that? Because, you know, creating it as an LLC means like you have a new QuickBooks account and like a new, you know, all of that fun stuff.
There's more expenses.
So luckily you're in a state where it's super easy to create things. You know, so there's not a lot of, you know, like annual requirements. So like in Delaware, you always have to pay like $300 every single year. California's $800 every single year, you know, but in other states like New York, it's $5 every 2 years, you know, so you kind of luck out that you're in one of the states where it's really easy to create 10 different businesses and you don't really have to worry about like creating a DBA. But that's also one of my things is, when we're creating a separate LLC, it's all about the branding as well. And, you know, like how, you know, does it necessarily is it different enough that it warrants a new business? And then also, is the branding and the direction of that business so far off of what you're currently doing that it doesn't make sense to just do like a simple DBA and all of that fun stuff? So I guess when it comes to creating that offshoot, are you thinking about having it have like completely different branding, maybe the possibility of bringing other people in it? And, you know, like what are some of those like foundational items that we would say, okay, let's move forward, create this separate business? Or do we still say, you know what, let's wait another year and kind of, you know, kind of play it out?
Well, my first question as just like a common folk is DBA. What is a DBA?
So it's like does business as is what it is. So like when you have that, it's kind of it's another name for the same entity. So I say it's kind of like a nickname, you know, like my legal name might be Anastasia, but a lot of people just call me Anna. Okay. And so you can have the same entity where it's the same bank account, the same EIN, the same financials set up, everything. It's just sometimes it's known by Anna and sometimes it's known by Anastasia. And, you know, like, so that way you can still have a little bit of a differentiation, but you're not having to duplicate everything. So versus, you know, again, even if you have like two credit, like if you have a whole another LLC, then you have to have another business bank account, another business savings, probably another business credit card, all of that fun stuff. But if what you're doing is similar enough to kind of your main source and you're not really relying, you're not going to plan on bringing anybody else in and all of this other fun stuff, that's where I'm like, you know what, if we can have like one Stripe account, then that's fun. But at the same time, if you're in a situation where you're like, you know what, I want it to have different branding than what I would have as like an individual, and I want it to be something that I could sell in the future or that I could have another partner to help me run this, then that's where I say, okay, let's take the time today, create the new AIN, create the new business checking account, and have it all separated out so that you've already done all of that groundwork instead of building all of those foundational pieces and then later on being like, oh, shoot, like I found this incredible person. I want to bring them in. But now if I bring them into this like one little piece, then now they're a partner in like the band stuff and all of the other aspects. So, yeah, that's kind of.
Yeah. It's foreboding.
Yep.
No, I think that, you and I talked about before we started rolling kind of like where my headspace was, and since going into this next project, that's totally one of those where eventually I don't really want to be the captain of the ship. I want it to be more of a team. So it's one of those where that's my big goal with it, is that it becomes so successful that I can just be a part of it and work with it. I don't need to be the guy, whereas like with the band and everything else, obviously, like I have to represent myself. And when it comes to like being a freelancer and just juggling all the different, balls and trying to put on every hat I can. So no, I think that if I had not done any research for financial education, when you were talking about S-Corps and things, it would probably sound like we were speaking German or French to someone. I mean, they are watching a financial podcast, so I'm hoping that that's kind of in my head, I'm like, okay, it is foreboding, especially with like the S-Corp. I feel like tax-wise, there is a bit of vulnerability there where I'm like, okay.
We do try to make it as painless as possible.
Yeah.
There's usually like, just like little step-by-step processes.
Yeah.
Doing the entity conversion itself is pretty much a piece of paper, which is like, when are you going to be determining when you're going to be an S-Corp? And then while we're waiting for the IRS, because they're like super backed up, making sure that you are acting as an S-Corp the entire time. So that way, like you have that backup if they have any kind of feedback or any kind of come back to you or whatever, and be like, nope, I've been doing all the things. Like I got my payroll set up. I'm doing the stuff. I am treating myself as an S-Corp. So that way, while we wait for that document that says, congrats, you now have this. So it's a really like, it's one piece of paper basically, and we send it in and then we wait for them, and then it's more so like setting you up for all the other fun stuff. So like payroll and things.
And I guess,
oh boy.
Yeah. And it like brings into the idea of like you are treating it as a business, but also in that layering, are you in the right phase of your life, and what are you trying to do? And does it make sense to add in all of this additional structure, which is extra costs and all of that and extra responsibility? So I guess where do you want to go? Like, do you want a house? Do you want kids? Do you want what does retirement look like? Just like, let's start with, do you want to retire in the United States?
Maybe. So I'm actually Irish citizen too. So I mean, so my goal obviously is having that available for my kids someday if they want to go to Europe and live in Europe or wherever they want to go. Right now I just rent, but I would love to own, and I'd love to be in that place. I think like I'm doing all the right things when it comes to setting up my Fidelity and having like my IRA and my HSA maxed out, and just really making sure to like take advantage of all of my, since I don't have, the 401k, naturally. But maybe this is a controversial thing, but I did sign up for the self-employed 401k, and I've been making 10%. I've been making contributions with everything that I make, literally, because of freelancer. So like if I get a paycheck for $100, I take 40% of that because I just assume it's going to be 40 for the end of the year, and I throw that into a savings. I take 10%, put that into my 401k, and then I just play with what's left.
Yeah.
You know, so that way none of that money, that's not my money to use, and I forget about the other one. So that's been my, we talked about like you want to learn things. I wish I would have known that when I was 19. Probably would have the house at that point. But
like, look at where you are now. That's fantastic. I have had client calls where like they've done none of the things. So like you're at least like really like looking and separating things out, and you're trying to like make the foundational part. So you got to give yourself kudos on that one.
I appreciate it.
Like an HSA.
Yeah.
And then I all of that stuff. And so like it's pretty fun. Like I have like an Acorns account I started like, I don't know, before the pandemic, and I was like, well, that'll go to my kids someday, you know what I mean? So it'll, the compound interest and everything else, it's just like one of those, like, there's your inheritance, but yeah, that's kind of the thing where it's just like, how, as a freelancer, how do you set yourself up for retirement? How do you set yourself up to be able to live a comfortable life? And so like my biggest thing that I realized this year is when I restructured everything, I pulled all my stuff out of Edward Jones because I felt like they were taking way too much out, and I didn't need that day-to-day advisory. I rolled over an old 401k that I had from just during pandemic and like put it into the right accounts. And so, for the IRS, that's kind of tricky stuff when you're on your own. You got to like explain what you're doing. Yeah. So that's why I was like, I this year when I was doing it, I was like, I'm waving the flag. I need help. I can't do it. This like normally I feel like I can. I'm like, all right, I'm not an idiot, but like it's not even a question of where you're at with intelligence. It's just it's actually difficult to
it's a whole profession.
Literally to do it. And so I was just like, I feel like I've put as much as I can put into it without being like, you know. But yeah, that's just been the thing. So yeah, I would love to own a house. I think that right now, if I was in a position where I had to buy, I definitely could. I just am kind of like financially like not in a place where I want to. Like I don't want to spend it if I don't have to, and I'd like it to continue to accrue interest and grow and just forget about it. But the other side of that was having a savings account and people not realizing how crappy that is to keep it in like Bank of America and like your interest rates with inflation and how you're essentially just losing money. And I was like, you need to put that stuff in like, a high interest savings account if you want to have it on site, or reinvesting it in like things like index funds. And so that's kind of where I'm at with finances. So I don't know if that's like overkill, but
yeah, I mean, it tells us a couple extra forms that we're gonna get.
It tells us those things where we have to ask you like, hey.
I mean, you're doing like a really good, a really good job, because a lot of people, like, they're so caught up in trying to earn their money that they forget that they're like, they work for their money, but their money needs to also start working for them.
Absolutely.
And so you've like started to create that like reciprocal cycle, and you're getting to that precipice where you're starting to get enough money where that's all easy. So now you're ready for like the next big steps of what's going to come forward. And I guess, are you still kind of like, I mean, it kind of seems like you're in a phase where things are going to be a little bit nomadic, where you're kind of like, let's just follow the opportunities and see where it goes, versus like, I want to identify this place. This is where I'm going to settle down. This is exactly what I'm doing. You want to be able to have the freedom to like kind of mold and go different places.
I definitely feel that way personally. Just, I feel like, for me, I used to live in Ohio, so my dad's there still. So that's kind of always like one of those where like for the back in the day when I was touring like 9 months, 10 months out of the year, I would just always send everything home and still be based out of Ohio, But now since I've moved to Arizona and things like that, I can't really get away with that. And I used to kind of live overseas for a minute, so it's just it's just been very nomadic. And so I just need to, I feel like in my mind, have a structure to where it's like, if opportunity knocks and you get the call to to jump on something, like I don't want to take the train off the tracks and be in a situation where it's like everything crumbles. It's like, how do I create a strong foundation that's really user friendly at this point as it can be? Like I just kind of want to like the rest of the accounts. I kind of just want to have that one hard conversation, have that one hard, do everything, just push it and then just forget about it. You know what I mean?
Yep. I
don't want to have to bother and be like, hey, so, everything we talked about, what was it? Like,
Yeah.
So how are you tracking your financials right now? What are you using?
Right now with finances, when I'm tracking, so like for miles, I have like an app that I throw it on, like Mile IQ, I think is what it's called. And then for actual finances, I was using QuickBooks, but I hate QuickBooks. I'm going to be honest. But I'm open to it if I don't have to be the one that's like setting it up, because I think they're kind of predatory personally. But there is another free tax filing thing that they offered that I found for entrepreneurs that uses it. But ultimately, I've been using Claude to just like throw everything, and I'm just like, here's all the expenses. Here's wherever this is, all of this, like with business account and business expenses, I'm really good about this is all business card, everything on that's going to be for the business. So wherever that can get debited up, that's just all there. But even then, though, I do find myself with like a pen and pencil, just like being like, okay, I have to like, where did this transaction come from? Or I didn't do this right, where it's like a Venmo, like I'll sell something on like someone on Facebook Marketplace something, and I'm like, well, I guess that's like I have to sell that. So just keeping track of stuff like that can be like kind of tricky. Especially so, that would probably be one of my I think a weakness is that could get tightened up. Not from like the hey, you're using the business card to buy personal things, but just making it like, I want to just forget about it. Yeah.
No, that's fair. So we do use QuickBooks, but we do feel very similar, but we've tried a bunch of the other ones and it's like best of the evils, I guess. Like they changed up their UI and I felt some type of way about that. I was just like, okay, I now know where nothing is. But so we do use it.
Well, you guys
try having a client call where you're like, oh, look, this is thing. And I was like, you know what? They just changed the UI. So give me a second. I'm going to look like I have no idea what I'm talking about, but I know it exists somewhere. I just got to go find it now.
Well, you guys are the professionals. I'm from the outside looking in, and that's like I said, I waved the white flag. I said, I don't know how to do this in QuickBooks at this point.
No,
I don't know how to track it.
We're well versed in it. And then the reason why I was bringing it up is because with the conversion to an S-Corp, we're really going to want to have like a profit and loss report and a balance sheet report for like your tax returns and stuff, because it is going to be its own entity. So making sure that we're kind of setting you up. But we are very well versed in setting up a QBO account, putting in all the chart of accounts, figuring out what are the like specific things, especially if this is going to be something where you get some money from the band, but you might be doing some other things. Like how do we set up your report so that it makes sense to you when you just go and pull it. So we do like that, and we do have like this access to like a slightly cheaper level as well. So it's like a general ledger. If you're not going to be like doing invoicing or anything like that, like it's just like $15 a month, and so it's not as bad. And then it's just like connected to a thing, and we just get reimbursed. So that's like one of the things we like to do.
I like it also because especially if you are nomadic and you're out touring and different things like that, we might not be able to get a hold of you, but we can log into your QuickBooks and we can see and we can be like, oh, like things are happening, things are coming in. Let me try to like proactively get a hold of you and stuff. So that way we're able to kind of come in behind the scenes, check in on you, see where you're at, and then, wave the flags for you. And that way you're able to like really focus on what you need to be doing.
Yeah. At my age, I'm kind of like, life gets busy, but you know what I mean? Be responsible. It's kind of, I hold myself to that level where I'm like, just answer the phone call. You know what I mean? Have the 5-minute conversation. But yeah, I think that's super helpful and that nails it. I just think it was probably user error more than anything for me, just being like, so now it's like linking up to all my personal accounts, and now I don't want it to touch any of this, and now it's tracking these expenses, like, and I'm like, I don't know what's going on anymore.
Well, we're very well versed in the whole setup, so that way we make sure only the business ones get linked and stuff, and we can always have like a separate call if we move forward with it of just like, okay, here you go, log in, I'll be here with you, get it synced up, cool, we're good to go, you don't have to touch it again. So we could do that, and then I guess for like you seem very hands-on, so how often are you checking your financials yourself? Like, how often are you kind of like looking to then make other decisions
based
off of it?
Like with like investment portfolios and stuff?
That and just like how much money you're making versus how much your expenses are. Like, how often are you?
I'm pretty on it. Like, I look at it probably every other day just to make sure everything's hitting in the right places because, as an independent contractor, there's tons of times where you guys know you're spending money and you're like, oh, I need to get recouped for this.
Yeah.
How do I track this where I like purchased the set where we had to do the shoot and then I had to make sure like, hey, they didn't pay my invoice on time. That's fine. Like I just, it sucks, but you're also like, how do I track this down and get it in the right place? Or, oh, they've sent it to the wrong email. Now it's hit my personal. Now I have to transfer this amount from my personal to my business to make sure it like looks. It's just, oh man.
Yeah.
So that's like, I am hands-on on it, but I'm not like...
Would you prefer not to be, or not have to be as much?
I mean, I feel like, for me, it's out of fight or flight. It's like, I have to, because I'm the guy. I have to, like, make sure it's good. It's because no one else will do it. There's no white knight coming from me. So hopefully I have you guys help me out. But that's kind of like the thing where it's like... Out of that instinct, I'm on hands on. But ideally, I'd like to just be like, it's fine. It's like the high yield savings account. I know it's good. I know it's doing what it needs to do. And if I have issues, like you said, you can just like give me the call and be like, hey, something's going on.
Yeah.
Great. Let me know.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Okay, so based off of that, I would say we have multiple tiers with like bookkeeping levels because we can have like we'll do the books for you and stuff and like handle those things. And it seems like you might be in like that mini monthly kind of situation.
Yeah.
So you'll get financials every single month and we're coding your bank like feed and transactions like weekly and stuff. So that way, if you log in, you can kind of have real time knowledge and stuff outside of like us sending you actual reports and things. But then we tell you your key takeaways. Like you made this. And then this was your highest expense. This is what you're kind of left with.
Didn't make anything this month. You actually lost money. Which happens.
It happened. Yeah. And then also it helps because we'll start getting to know you and your finances. And then it'll be easier for us also to see when something's funky. Like, why did your telephone expenses just like fall off? Did we miss something? Did you move that like expense over? Or why aren't we seeing some of the expenses that are typical to someone in your like, there's a word for it. His genre, but it's him. What is that with the humans?
Yeah. I mean, like...
Industry.
Industry.
Yeah.
Well, because we learn, like, the industry, but then also the lifestyle, too. What's really important
That's so funny. You get to see, like, oh, he really loves Starbucks.
Yeah.
Oh, he's on an airport. Yeah. Like, Elliott, guess how much money you spent? Don't tell me.
But especially if you're like, are you buying instruments like under yourself or like how do you own your instruments for the band and like how does that?
I do own my instruments.
Okay.
I haven't bought an instrument in a long time because I've been really blessed with to just work with some great companies that typically will send me something to use.
Okay.
But there are totally instances where it's like where I do have to spend like. We have to upgrade and things like that. And sometimes it depends on how like the band wants to approach it. It might be like a band expense where we're like, hey, we're gonna do that. And then there are other times where it's like where we personally take it on for the convenience. So it is a case by case basis, I think. So but it's pretty low key. At the end of the day for us, like, we're not Metallica.
Yeah.
We're not one of these bands that's like that. We're, I always joke and say, like, my band tours like maybe 2-3 months out of the year. I do go out as a freelancer and do stuff, but, we're not. A lot of it's just nothing. So it's kind of nice because there's such a power in saying no now. So, yeah, I think it's low key.
Nice.
Truthfully.
Okay.
So
I was just curious. Yeah. Because of like, if you would end up purchasing stuff under your S-Corp and stuff like that, like you'd want to keep track of it. And I was just curious, how often are you actually doing
Well, I think for production stuff now, I've already bought hopefully most of it. But yeah, definitely will like sell and upgrade things as I need to through the LLC. And so that all just sits in that and I don't touch any of that. That's just like, at the end of the year, then I just have to figure out what, you know what I mean? But like I said, I try to just keep that as us and them, you know?
So this one may or may not be a doozy depending on your answer, but when was the last time you filed your taxes?
I filed in 2024, and I filed an extension this year. I did pay out quarterly, and I did give them a lot, but like I said, I had to wave the flag. I said, this is too much, and I will mess this up at this point. So I think with the 401k,
perfect. Okay.
It just put me, I was like, there's too much. There was an inheritance there at some point for this upcoming year. I was like, it's not working out great for me.
Yeah.
For tracking, I'm like, it's not. And it's so funny because then, like, my partner will be like, oh, why don't you do it? I'm like, honey, you just have a W-2. Okay, I could do your taxes in 10 minutes. Like, you have two things that you need to It is a little different for me. So, but if they don't have that awareness, they're just like, well, why aren't you doing it? It's like, because it's not like, it's not a fun thing,
Yeah, no, it's a lot.
Yeah. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, this is all great. So I guess a little bit about like how we usually will do the communication and then document stuff. We do have like a client portal. So you can have all your documents there. You can chat us there and then attach the documents. So if you receive something in the mail or something like that you're like, I'm not so sure about this, we can do that. And then because you are a freelancer and whatnot, we typically like to do like, it's like a account monitoring. We'll get like a power of attorney for you so we can just pull a wage and income transcript to just make sure like, did you receive all your 1099s that were actually like filed and like reported already and just like kind of have those like double checking and whatnot.
And
go ahead.
You guys do those through QuickBooks with the 1099s through that? Is that how you guys track
We can
those?
Well, okay, you receiving 1099s versus you 1099ing other people. But we have used, used QBO for that or tax 1099.
Okay.
It's really just based off of who has the best rate and then we usually
I did that for the
way.
first time this year where I was like, oh, I have to send somebody stuff. I've paid them, you know what I mean? So it's just gotten to that point. There's other people too. I was like chasing it down going, So
that's part of like the bookkeeping part where we do like quarterly reviews, be like, hey, you've paid this vendor now over like the threshold.
$600 threshold.
Like, did you get a W-9 from them and all that?
Yeah.
You want to take over?
Yep.
You're good.
Excuse me.
No, you're fine.
Yep. Yeah. So we like to do that. Now we're in kind of the middle of the year. So we start with looking at what did 2024 look like? What are we expecting for 2025? And really trying to get that. I always say, like, what's worst case scenario? If you just throw a bunch of information at us without us, like really digging in and asking questions and things, what is that worst case that we're looking at? And then from there, we can say, okay, this is the information that we still need. And these are kind of like the tax opportunities and strategies that we'll go through from there. And then also taking a look at what does 2026 look like? Is 2026 going to be the same as 2025? Is it going to be so much different, so different? Because I say, especially once we get into tax season, we're historians. Yeah. We're just saying like, this is what happened last year. Here's the history. But when we're still in that current year, we can actually say, okay, this is where we want to go, and this is how much we want to pay, and really start taking those intentional moves, because it's telling you like, okay, if you want your tax liability to be in a certain threshold, then how much money do you need to put into that 401k? And does taking that money and putting it into the 401k, does that make sense? How much money is it actually saving you on the back end? And like being able to run through a lot of those different scenarios, and you're doing, like the health savings account, and, is it better to put it in the health savings account versus a Roth IRA? And, like what are those tax savings? And then that way you can make all of those decisions, or saying like, do you need to buy a new car? Do you want, do you want to take that like research trip and do all of these different items? And really kind of, even with, let's look at what the S corporation structure would do. And I always tell people I work every day in the gray. So I like as much to be black and white as possible, because people will say like, oh, let's do an S-Corp, let's do an S-Corp. And so I'm like, okay, what does that actually mean in your situation? Sure. And how much does that actually save you? Because I think it's really good to have that mental picture of, yes, I'm going to have to deal with QuickBooks, deal with Gusto, do all of these extra things. But if you're like, you know what, it's going to save me $20,000 at the end of the year, then you're like, I'm down to do it's like a free part-time job, that you don't, and it makes sense, versus if you come into it and you don't even know that that's what's happening in the background, then it seems like, okay, here's all of this extra stuff that I have to do for no reason.
Exactly.
What is even the point? Yeah.
I mean, you just get blindsided. If you don't know what you're coming into at the IRS, and it just doesn't matter. And there's so many moments, like retrospectively, where I look at, I'm like, oh, you were so dumb. You should have done X, Y, Z. But I'm grateful now that like that happened, because then, like you said, like you look at it and you go, yeah, I'm not doing that again. Like that's like, I don't work for free. I respect my time, and you know what I mean. It's just like, and if you're being negligent with that, you're literally just giving them money.
Yep.
Right. And because the switch happens so quickly, because you're just like fighting to survive, and then you get like that first big paycheck, and then you're like, oh my gosh, I can really thrive. And then, oh no.
I look at that and I go, okay, we got to stretch this one because you don't know when, you know.
Right. Exactly. So yeah, I mean, normally we like from here, we start inviting you to the portal, and then we start requesting some of those documents, and we really just, I say it's always like, information vomit. You just like throw everything at us. And because I don't want it to look pretty. You know, I want to have the information as quickly as possible. And I know a lot of people like, again, because you said it's like a very vulnerable part, because you're like, this is like the messiest piece of me. That, you know, and we're just like, you know what, the faster you give us that information, the more time we have to really dig in and look at it and like change, you know, the trajectory of things. Yeah. So
kind of feels like dragging out a relationship or something. Right? Like, do you just want the fast breakup, or do you want to just get over it? Like, it's just, or you want to drag it out. It's like, let's just like get it out there, because then we can just figure out tomorrow.
Right. Exactly. Let's see what you got.
Say it. It's not our first time seeing it. I guarantee we'll see it again.
All good. Yeah.
Exactly. So yeah, I mean, I think that's like, it's really nice, you know, I think kind of seeing a lot of this switch of like you said, people being a lot more intentional, really thinking about what does their future look like and what do they want, and really kind of demanding a certain level from other things, you know, like you said, like I had Edward Jones, it wasn't really working, it wasn't getting me where I needed to go. And like really being able to say like, these are the things that aren't working for me. And then that way we can kind of move in different directions. But yeah. So I don't know. Well, thank you for.
I know. Was this hard? Was it okay? You feel good?
Hey, I'd come back.
So much fun. So I guess thanks for joining us. If this brought a few questions to mind, I mean, I always say you can't ask questions if you don't even know what the conversation is. So kind of seeing what that conversation looks like, you can, you know, come to us with a few more questions. We can, you know, dive right in, or just be ready. Open right up, and we will jump in and
just therapy session with Myiesha.
Throw it out there.
Just give it all.
All right.
Awesome, guys.
Bye. Thank you.
That's it for this episode of Let's Get Fiscal. If this helped you see your business differently, follow or subscribe on your favorite podcast platform so the next episode is already waiting for you. And if a specific money question came up while you were listening, send it through the link in the show notes. Real listener questions help shape future episodes. You can also follow Let's Get Fiscal on social media for more tax tips, business finance breakdowns, and clips from the show. Until next time, keep building the business behind the work.